Okay,
I'd like to call for quorum. Do we have quorum?
we do.
So can we nominate a chair?
I nominate you.
Do we nominate me? Because I have an agenda and you don't.
I have an agenda.
I'm not actually chair, but I'm willing to hear a vote from the members on whether or not I can chair the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Then we will proceed, although I don't. Is there an extra agenda I can look at? Or somebody, my computer's not working. Approval of minutes from the October 12th meeting. Does anybody have corrections or comments about the minutes? Okay. All in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye.
A motion and a second.
I will
do
motion
need a
to
motion.
approve the minutes.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded for approval of the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Do we have any appearances?
None?
Unfinished business. We have one item under unfinished business. It is a discussion of possible land acknowledgement prior to landmarks commission meetings. This was actually my task, and I did send Thor and I printed out some that I found from. I looked at. I was trying to find some local, so that would be more specific to Ho-Chunk. And so I found one. Monona did have a land acknowledgement statement. I couldn't find it on the website, but printed in the Hometown News paper article about from an October 2021 land acknowledgement ceremony for Indigenous Peoples Day. So this was a statement that was read at that meeting. So I would assume that its wording has passed some kind of standard within the city, but I don't know what. And I could not find it on our website, only in the newspaper article. There's also Madison Schools did a land acknowledgement last year with their student groups. UW Madison has a standard land acknowledgement, and this is the verbiage here is basically slightly changed for each division at the UW, but it essentially contains these items. The Wisconsin Union has a slightly different one though. This is the UW Wisconsin Union. And on their website, it does, this is just listed on their website. In no case do I know if these are said before meetings, but these are their public statements. And then finally, the Village of Waunakee, I found does have a land acknowledgement statement as a village that they say. In doing some additional reading about land acknowledgement statements, the Ho-Chunk have stated that it's important that you not only, it's not enough to just acknowledge the land, to just make a statement, but to include some reference of history so that it's a relevant statement and a learning opportunity. Any discussion about it? I don't.
So we are proposing as landmarks to bring that forward to be put possibly on our city's land website.
I don't think it's a proposal yet. It's a discussion of whether or not that would be appropriate and what kind of language we would like included.
Okay.
This came up, I'm not sure if you were at the meeting. It came
No,
up
I was.
originally at
I
the end of it,
remember.
right,
Yeah.
as a.
Yeah. No.
What might we do,
Mhm.
not what should we do. There's
No,
no
I'm
motion
not
right
saying,
now.
no, I'm saying that we, if it's, but it would come from the landmark committee.
It would be Landmarks Commission, not the city of Monona.
Correct.
Just one discussion on it. Like, I personally like the UW Madison one. Some of these go like into the weeds a little bit. Can be lengthy to read out every
Yes,
meeting.
to read out at every meeting. I agree.
And I think that UW Madison acknowledges a little bit of the history while our one from the newspaper does not.
The one from the newspaper might have been a short segment only of what was said.
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, right. And who said it, so we don't know.
Christy, go forth.
Okay.
Well,
She did the.
She
let
was
that
the spokesperson mentioned in the article. It did not say, it just said this was quoting from an acknowledgement, I think. But I don't think that the one from Monona is really,
in depth enough.
yeah, it's not specific enough, I think, to be relevant. I think.
Yeah, I think the Madison schools is geared more towards schools.
Mhm. So where do we want to go from here on this?
I also agree. I think the UW Madison one is the most concise and covers everything we want to cover. I don't know if anybody feels like tweaking the words or.
I don't know if we can we go word for word by them or?
There's absolutely, I cannot imagine there's an issue with us copying language that's been developed by Madison.
Yeah, just take that.
The landmarks, I mean, you cannot really say the Landmarks Commission occupies ancestral Ho-Chunk land, so it would have to be the
Just Monona.
city of Monona. I don't know if we say the city of Monona, if we start referencing it that way, are we overstepping as a commission? But we do occupy ancestral Ho-Chunk lands, there's no,
If you can get the city out of it somehow.
I don't know if it'd be appropriate to copy someone else's statement.
Yeah, seems like.
I'm guessing they spent time putting it together.
But it's a good framework.
Yeah, it might be a good framework.
so
Do we need Ho-Chunk or whoever, the Ho-Chunk, do they have to take a look at this and okay it, or
That's true.
They
do
would-
they have any input?
I don't think they would have to, I think if we have context there,
What if we have a word in there that offends someone?
Mhm.
We're
Maybe
not-
just as a agenda.
I'm just curious.
Have them review it.
You know.
Good, on it by Bill Quackenbush.
I think it would be good to involve the community, the indigenous community, if the purpose is to both acknowledge past, but a statement of relationship building as well. You know, in the Wanakee example, there, that last sentence. Kind of- It not only acknowledges the past, acknowledges the future as well. So I like that aspect of it. And
Even UW one says that we respect the inheritance. Well, I think that would be a form of respect to show them or have them provide any input that they might have.
especially as we do have a large number of mounds in the city that we directly oversee as the
Yeah.
Landmarks Commission. It's something else that occurred to me as we always call them the mounds, and I was reading through a lot of other documentation from the university, and apparently the city of Monona Parks Department a couple of years ago worked with the university and Ho-Chunk and through the Elson Institute to put together a brochure that may never been published, but it's online with broken links all over it. I don't know. But it was Monona Parks and Rec talking about the mounds and respect for the mounds and mound etiquette, but included more, I don't know the name of the Ho-Chunk language, but Ho-Chunk language, actual words
I
like
get
for
what you're saying.
mounds, another, the correct word for mounds. And so I think that as a Landmarks Commission, we might want to also address that in our documentation, that we could be using Ho-Chunk words.
For the land that we're standing on even.
There might be, and certainly the mounds or the name of a mound. We're using our names of the mounds.
Right.
So something else to consider down the road. I realize that's not part of this discussion right now. So how do we want to move forward? Do we all want to take a look at what we think might edit from the Madison land acknowledgement, or what we think might want to be included and come back again with language?
Yeah, maybe take this and then to the next meeting.
The city of Madison has no statement like this.
They
I
may
find
have,
that, I would think that they would.
they probably do.
It might be nice to get another city Well, there's a village.
I had been hoping to find a landmarks commission or a sort of a different group, and that I could not find. And I don't know how many cities and villages in Dane County have a land acknowledgement statement. That might be interesting for us to look, and I'm happy to take that on. So which of the Dane County communities have a land acknowledgement statement and have those in front of us as well? Is that something I could send you ahead of time, or that might be sent out to the group?
Sure,
When
yeah.
we find it?
Seems like we might be getting too deep into what we're looking at. Yeah, maybe a couple cities, like what we were saying, so that we can get them. I mean, I was even looking at here, I wonder if regional, how it would be done different. We want to stay with Ho-Chunk. So see that these are other tribes on the back here, because of their fights.
Mhm. Well, right, and
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting that on their website, they list the links. I wasn't suggesting that we do it. but
No,
I
no,
did-
no, no.
I did think it was an interesting
Yeah,
approach to include a link. There are several. When Wisconsin passed their act to include Native American history in schools, the tribes put up a joint with the state sort of guideline for how to do it, and it does include some information about land acknowledgement statements, what you should be looking for. Specific acknowledgement of the specific tribe. It's not enough to say Native peoples, right? We want to reference the Ho-Chunk specifically as it was there. So, but I can, if people are interested, I could send around some of those reference sites as well. Sure. I don't know that we need to delve that deep into it, but if you're interested, I'll send it.
Thank you.
So for now, it doesn't sound like we need a motion. We'll just leave it as unfinished business.
Think so,
Sure.
yeah, there's to be done, and
Yeah.
yeah, we'll bring it up at a meeting in the future.
On to new business, discussion of landmark site marker cleaning.
So we did discuss this at the previous October meeting, and I've included it in the meeting packet. I think the resource that Rick shared with us, with the quote that he received. So I thought we would have a conversation, see, based on the price that we did receive, at least from this bidder, how we want to proceed with the landmark cleaning, when you want to do it, if it's still a priority in the committee, how we want to pursue this kind of cleaning. We talked about doing it in conjunction with the National Historic Preservation Month. That was an outreach and educational tool. And certainly waiting till the spring, just make sure after snow melt and salt, that we get the appropriate time.
So are we looking for at this point? Do we have the money to do this in our budget?
So there's no money specifically allocated for landmark cleaning. Depending on the cost, it's certainly something that we can put in a budget request for, just out of general funds. This quote, right, is $450. I think for cleaning one plaque, and that includes materials and the labor involved. So it could be something that we do as maybe a pilot project with this one marker, see if it's worth it, and then proceed. But $450 per plaque, I don't see it.
It's gonna get pricey.
Yeah, right.
Do we know
Was
how
your
many
question, do we
markers?
have the money?
Yeah, landmarks.
Landmarks, right?
Are you doing?
So I guess my question would be, hearing no that we don't, does the city budget it to clean landmarks? Do you know what I mean? Like what, do they have a process of every 5 years cleaning it? I'm just curious, I don't know.
Not aware of anything. Doug,
Okay.
are you?
No, not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
And most likely, any sort of larger effort here would be a request into the 2024, budget. So it's moving forward.
Okay,
We didn't
I
want
was clarifying.
to,
my
somebody else
question.
can pay for it.
Teresa's not here, so I'm
we
sharing
pay-
my.
Oh, have we started?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to be late.
No, you're fine.
Did we already go over the minutes?
We did approval of the minutes.
Okay, I had one correction, but if it's not too late. Is it too late?
I think it's too late.
Okay.
We are on,
We
the
could change
item
the amount of check that you were gonna get or something like that.
No, well,
6A.
just so people know, there was an issue with, we were paying for the engineering studies out of a separate fund. And it was something that I asked that we find, it was from the book sales. And I don't know if we still know where that account is. So that question is still open. That's the only reason I bring it up. So just to try to find that fund again.
So it's not really a correction to the minute, it's a,
Well, there was a mention of it in the minutes. Just so we're
That's something
clear.
I can look into though.
Yeah,
we're discussing landmark site marker cleaning and whether we have a budget to clean them, whether the city might have a budget, whether, have they ever been cleaned? Did the city used to clean them? Does Parks clean them? They're generally located in parks. Does Parks clean them? Is that something they do? I don't know the
Yeah,
answers to
Yeah,
the
that I would
question,
have
right?
to,
Well, and this
Follow
is
up
a
with
property
parks.
that's not even, it's a,
This one is.
yeah, the structure's not there, the property's owned by business.
Right. True, so some are in parks and some are
Mhm.
not.
Or first, well, would be private property versus commercial.
Who technically owns these markers? Do we know?
I think the city does.
City owns.
They're
the
all on
markers.
city property, their easement.
Yeah, that might be it, that's on the easement. The property owners paid for it. I paid for mine, so,
Wow.
Yeah.
Sorry.
and I don't care. It was fun. We had a party.
So how do people want to proceed?
I think we'd all like them clean. Right? I think it's how do we get them clean is the question. Is that fair?
Or do we support having
Or
it
do some
cleaned?
people say, no, we don't need to clean them?
well, so if it's a priority, we could seek other bids if we want to contract it out.
Can we
I
find,
guess, I guess some of them might age or some of them might be positioned in such that the weather cleans them automatically, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And some might need cleaning. I mean, I don't know if they all need cleaning,
that's
you know what I
my,
mean?
that's my question.
So
Can we
there's-
find out what ones are in bad shape or
oh, I did that.
we have do we have a list?
I did a full
Survey?
photo inventory of all of them, and it's the first 6 that are
Okay,
Okay.
still in need of cleaning.
Okay.
And I talked to someone, Tom Stoltenberg, who used to chair the commission, and he said they changed contractors because these first 6 darkened so badly. So the
Is-
others are not in need of cleaning because they went to a different contractor.
To make, to
Is
purchase
it
the
worth it to
signs.
clean them for $450 or just replace the plaque?
How much is it?
If that's the
replacement plaque?
case.
so we're not doing it every,
Yeah.
How much is a replacement plaque?
I would say at least 7
What
something.
was the last one we bought?
The last one we bought was in like 2015 or 16 for the farmhouse on Winnebago Cold Spring. Dean.
I don't remember.
How about the
Price.
amount? that we paid for the one on the drive?
Oh, that?
I think that was
paid
a
for-
grant.
That was a grant.
I think that was all through.
No, the city
Well-
came up with that. I
How
think,
much was it?
It's about
That's what I
700.
thought,
Oh.
7 something.
for the mound plaque,
Maybe
Winona
something
mound
about
plaque,
Yeah, I'm
replacing
thinking
that.
that's about what I
it was
paid.
closer to
Sounds like not much
2,000 or
difference.
something.
might be a lot different.
We had to
now.
pay for the rock. We had to pay for the rock.
The
and
rock, we
plaque.
had to pay
Well, no,
for.
we're
Rock
not
mountain.
paper and rock.
Rock.
Gotta buy a rock first.
Well, I think Doug, you're the one who figured the rock part out.
The rock was about $1,000, but
Yeah.
But the marker would be about 20-some $100.
Oh, really? I don't remember.
Yeah,
Not
no,
much
it's
either, because
standard.
we didn't
I'll
have.
check.
that.
I'll check.
Can you
Yeah,
check
check
on
and
that?
Yeah.
see.
I think Doug Wood, who was chair
Mhm.
at one point, got the money from the council. So it was a special appropriation from the council. But that's a state historic marker. I think for the landmark plaques, they're probably not much more than 450, I would guess. 800, 900, something like that, 1,000, maybe less.
I think it would be worth it to find out.
Yep. We'll
I'm in favor of
adjust it.
cleaning and or replacing. I think something needs to be done about them, so they don't look terrible, but so you can read them. I
Yeah,
find having a
that's-
plaque you cannot read.
Yeah, they're not serving any purpose.
Right.
Rubbing.
Are we still hoping to get it done by Historic Preservation Month? Originally, that was the idea.
By May.
Yeah, I think that was your idea.
But. Well, maybe we could. If nothing else, we'll be announcing the plaques during
Okay.
historic preservation. Month.
That works too.
Because I could foresee if we went to city council for some money, it would take,
That would take a whole nother year, yeah.
Yeah.
A whole nother
oh, it
season.
wouldn't be possible until it's part of the capital budget.
Right.
Okay, well then, yeah, it wouldn't be possible this year.
But planning could be, if
Same.
you want to pursue that,
Right.
depending on the cost
I think-
difference, but then you might need routine cleaning, right?
Yeah, right.
These older plaques.
Mhm.
So with only 6 plaques is like cleaning on a volunteer basis, something that the commission be interested in pursuing.
If you volunteer.
I think that when we looked at, I think you did try some DIY methods.
Yeah, yeah,
right? And it
And that
was like,
just did work.
Didn't work.
and so I think we're talking about actually a skill level that we
Yeah.
don't
Well,
have.
and the products that we used.
Right.
Toothbrush.
Well, I think the original idea, I thought we had discussed this, was with Craig, we would hire him to clean one of the markers, and then we would learn from that how to do it ourselves.
Right.
So for $450, we could get them,
I
basically,
mean, I'd have to take that rock home and clean it in my living room.
I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'd be willing to,
Mhm.
and I think maybe not people on the commission, but Ann Weidelich and others, I think we could get a team of people together, to kind of follow up. I think Craig did say every 5 years that they should be waxed or something like that. So there is some kind of ongoing maintenance that has to be done, but I don't foresee that being a really big,
The bronze?
yeah.
That might be true of all of our plaques, that they
Yeah.
can stand to be on a wax rotation, but that doesn't.
Yeah.
sound- That doesn't sound.
I
hard.
suspect they haven't had any maintenance
Right.
at all. So, but they've stood up, so luckily for us, they're readable.
Are other city signs bronze? I can't think of any. Park signs aren't.
Yeah.
The Monona Mound mark is aluminum. It looks, it's got that faux wood look to it, but it's. So, like the Royal Airport marker is aluminum. All the mound markers are aluminum.
So it's really just these first 6.
No, I think the other landmark plaques beyond these 6 are also bronze, just a different contract.
So how do we want to proceed? We were hoping next meeting to find out how much replacement plaques might run before we decide if we should proceed with the test cleaning all of them. Yeah,
I think that'd be a more informed decision.
Okay. Yep.
so no action on this item either.
I'll look into the cost there.
Staff updates.
So, first update we have is the Frostwoods educational event, we are, hoping, we've been working with the Frostwoods Homeowners Association, right? We're hoping to hold a few educational sessions leading up to the annual April meeting about the creation of a potential historic district. So we're hoping to have 2 meetings, one in February, one in March, if we can. We're working to identify dates still. And once we have some dates identified, then I will be working with the State Historic Society to arrange someone to come and give a presentation on what it means to live in a historic district. Just bring the facts to people and dispel some of the rumors that kind of build around what it means to live in a historic district, and also discuss the process, the voting process for the creation of the historic district. So we're hoping to identify some dates pretty soon here, and that'll be hosted by the Frostwoods Homeowners Association, but the city will be helping to organize those events.
Would this make a good historic preservation month event?
That would be late.
Too late for this.
Yeah, our
okay.
meeting's in April.
Other updates, 5805 Winneco Road, the Bungalow was added to the National Register of Historic Places October 25th. That was funded with our CLG grant money last year. And then 4811 Toniawatha Trail, the Schrader House, that was nominated by the State Historical Society on November 18th. So that's on the state register now, nominated to the National Register. I haven't heard any updates there, so I'll keep you all updated as we hear any scheduled, or we hear that it's been added to the National Register. I'm not sure on the timeline there. And then 110 Henua Circle, we had the presentation for the draft nomination at our last meeting. So that's been, the draft has been nominated to the National Register. I haven't heard any updates there yet. At the previous meeting, the commission moved to recommend that staff write a letter of support for that nomination. So we're working on that. We will have that to Teresa by the end of next week, so that it can come from the chair rather than from staff. And then the draft landmark map. Doug and I are working with W Milwaukee and the contractor there to finalize those details. We've been in contact, but so that's continuing to proceed forward, and we'll update you as that gets finalized.
Do you think we can have an update by next meeting on that?
Yeah,
Definitely, yeah.
Definitely, okay.
I know they showed us a draft at one point.
Yes, we have the draft, and then the state actually also looked at it and has some comments too. So it's kind of a case of triangulating. Some of those definitely overlap with some of the comments, and they just had a couple of details too.
Okay.
So I'd imagine that it'll be sort of the final version at that point. That would be, I think, ready for maybe one final pass of the commission. But I'd imagine at that point it's going to be 95, 99% complete.
Okay, and then updates on the Springshaven Pagoda. So the Parks Department will be covering it for the winter, just as they
Hopefully
did last year. Hey, I haven't checked, I haven't confirmed, just make sure they.
I haven't
they
been-
Winter
have.
started.
Yeah, winter started.
Winter's almost over,
barely,
right?
yeah.
Next week.
But I'll check to make sure that they have, and if not, I'll follow up with them, but we've been told that they will be doing that. And then we still have 60,000 in the budget for this year for repairs of the pagoda. So we're, continuing to explore. The next steps would be for us to continue working with, interested contractors about the feasibility of the recommendations from the engineering report last year.
I think the report about feasibility, I'm not quite sure what you're trying to figure out, because the engineer told us it was feasible. So what more do you need to know before you know it's feasible?
I don't think that's what he stated. I think the contract, he's working with contractors to see if they'll work on it, if they think it's feasible.
Yeah, right, exactly. So
Okay.
if this, yeah, if the contractors feel the recommendations from the engineer are feasible,
So you're trying to scout out possible contractors.
right?
And have you talked to the engineer about what those contractors, who they might be?
I have not.
I have, if I can jump in, I have a couple names that were shared by Patrick, folks that he's worked with in the past, and I think that both they, as well as obviously folks that bid on it previously, when it last went out to bid, I think would be the starting points, just to understand. I think a few different options were put out in terms of materials treatments that could be used. So just getting a full array, if that comes up with those products, I think there was some more carbon fiber and sort of some newer techniques as well, I think. So just kind of understanding the spectrum of what's
Okay,
there.
but it was Kurt, the engineer, who told us it was feasible. Kurt Strauss. Who had done the original preservation plan with Charlie Qualiana.
Sorry, I was referencing the structural report that was done by, now I'm blanking on the name, Patrick Egan, sorry, that had done the original structural, stating that it was in safe condition, but that, repairs could be made. And
But
this
but then following that, we had a long discussion with Kurt Strauss, correct? We talked to him online for about an hour. And he was of the opinion that it's entirely feasible. And he actually had a lot of descriptive analysis of how to go about that.
Yes,
So
and I
it seems a conversation with him would be more appropriate than Patrick.
Absolutely, and really I guess the next step is is finding contractors that would implement it.
Okay, but it's been 10 months and we haven't had any report other than we're checking its feasibility.
And I'll take responsibility for that. Yeah, that's it's a workload item, but certainly something that already I've been working with Thor on, and that will be good.
Okay, but it's important to follow up with Kurt. And I thought we were going to follow up with him to design drawings for the pagoda so that we could then go out to contractors.
As I recall, I would say that there was still sort of some discussion between the commission as to the next step, as to preferred next steps in terms of patch, repair, rebuild. Like there was a full sort of spectrum.
Okay.
So, the direction that I took from that that is still in the works, but was really to sort of continue surveying that and how much, who would do it, get some options on the table to sort of understand order of magnitude for some of these things.
Because as I recall, Patrick was not positive, that he was negative about rebuilding or repairing the pagoda. But
Maybe
then,
for the next meeting, we could get a summary of what we've already discussed and what the different options that were laid out were. That way we can look at it instead of trying to remember everything,
well,
and then find out who you're looking at for contractors, I guess.
I guess what I would look for is some kind of document following the discussion we had with Kurt. It was all verbal, and it would be nice to get something written from him as to what he would suggest in terms of repairing. He felt he could maintain all that historic fabric and repair the roof rather than replace it, which is what we had originally scoped out with Patrick. We were going to saw off the roof and reconstruct it with a new form that Daniels was going to prepare. And they got part way when we ended the contract. So I think Patrick is no longer in the picture as far as I understood it. So Kurt would be the one to talk to about getting design drawings or something in writing as to what the next steps would be as he envisions them. So that would be some small contract of some sort. And I thought we had discussed that day, and we were gonna follow up with him. I think we were also talking about doing some kind of laser scan of the pagoda because of all its difficult dimensions. It's hard to get measurements, and it would be great to have as is drawings of the pagoda to work from.
We've tried laser scanning it twice.
And
The point clouds just don't, it's the terrain and, I mean, we haven't done it with the new terrain, I guess, but the point clouds just were too hard to work with. To
they were
get
too
accurate,
dense.
yeah, it was just too hard to get an accurate dimensioning of them. Because we had the Madison College do
Right,
it for
yeah.
us, and then I thought we had it done one other time too, but I could be wrong. But I know the
Yeah.
Madison College one.
I wasn't
you know,
quite sure what happened there. I wasn't sure if we didn't have the right.
Matt Arrow tried to get that one to work. No, I tried to get it to work on one of the programs I was using at the time.
So was it a difference in software or hardware?
Well, the point clouds you can put into any software. Their software creates the point clouds.
And so there was,
I don't know what their software was.
we did get some drawings from that, correct? I saw,
I
We
don't
had
recall.
something from. We had something.
I know we got pictures.
do you know about laser scanning?
Do I know about it?
Yeah, how it works, how it could work for us.
We have some laser scanning,
Yeah, we have
but
a-
I don't know if that would be
I think-
appropriate for this use.
I think you'd still have the same problem because you have to move it around and the way it's like built into a hill.
Right.
So
So it's too confining.
like
Well,
you
it-
can't get, especially on the
Can't do
fence
anything until
side.
it's unwrapped after the spring.
Right.
So
Assuming it's
whether
wrapped.
it's getting a contractor out there to look at it or assuming it's wrapped.
I mean, I
think
they
Kurt-
do laser scanning of all kinds
Yeah,
of
yeah, they do.
buildings.
Yeah, and we
think
do that,
it's-
but it's in a built environment, I'll say, versus the outdoors. I don't know. I don't know if that is any effect.
But, okay, let's assume for purposes of discussion, it is possible. It makes sense to do it, don't you think?
It costs a
Oh, if it's
lot of money.
possible,
Like we had Madison College do it for us for free, but if
But
we
that-
can't get them to do it for us, it costs a lot of money to have a laser scan.
Do we know how much that is?
I thought that was in one of those.
It might be.
I thought there was a number thrown out.
No, it's not cheap. I don't have,
I
I don't have
think-
an idea, but
I think, and I don't know all the history, I didn't know people had tried a laser scan or anything. It was probably before my time.
Yeah, it
Fine.
was.
Based on the
going back.
information that I know and hearing Kurt speak, my understanding was that he said, hey, it's repairable,
Yeah,
but you could repair it in this manner, or in this manner. You know, it's basically how much do you want to spend kind of a thing, or how much work do you want to do? And we can patch it with spackling. I'm just gonna say that, that's not what he said. Or we can get this carbon fiber, land on the moon kind of material, and we can repair it that way. I think it was trying to understand how much we wanted to take on. And then also, is there an applicable contractor? Is there a contractor that can do the moon method, right? I don't know if there's one around here. Do we have to fly one in
yeah.
from, you know what I
But
mean?
how are we gonna find that out until
Well, I
we
think
have
that's the next.
something in writing to say this is what we're looking for?
Kurt did not prepare anything in writing? I thought I read something that Kurt prepared. No?
it'd be in
Well,
minutes.
he was part of an original team
Oh, okay,
that did the preservation plan with Charlie Qualiano.
okay.
And that's on our website
Maybe that's what I
now.
remember.
So he did some of those original drawings in
But I
the
think-
plan.
I think the good news was that Kurt said it's repairable, right? Because
Right.
some of us didn't think it was structurally, whatever.
So all the more reason
Based
to
on other
get,
reports. So I think
all the more reason to get something in writing from him.
maybe, yeah,
as to what he feels the options are and how they
I'm
differ.
sure he had notes and break notes on them.
So is that what you're asking?
I think that would probably be the next best step. I think we're coming to a consensus on that.
So we want to reach back out so that we have a more concise, we're not, a more concise
Well,
series of
something in
steps.
writing so
Yeah.
that we all have the same understanding of
Yeah.
what he's suggesting. And from there, we can
See what
start looking
contractors might
into
be.
possible
And
contracts.
at the same time, ask him if he has suggestions on
Yeah,
potential contractors, right?
Do we need a motion to pursue that, or is that following just
No,
staff
just
updates,
staff,
so we can
yeah.
just reach out? to-
Requests of staff.
Great.
All right, so yeah, we'll look into getting
Sounds good.
what information's out there, put together a summary, of previous discussions.
And we can ask the Matterport experts. You might be one of them.
I am not.
We have the scanning
do
tool
you guys both work at the
Yes.
same location? Okay,
most of the time.
okay. Same company,
We can ask them if this is something that's applicable.
okay.
Is that fair?
Anything else we go with? Then updates on the Frank Alice House. So there was a public survey that was disseminated and a public input meeting to discuss the survey back in October. The results have been available on the Parks website for a few months now. There's one question about the Frank Alice House that relevant to landmarks, I would say. That question was in the meeting packet. How important is the Frank Alice House to your overall appreciation of the property? And results from that question are about 53% of respondents said that it's somewhat or very important to the overall appreciation of the property. Well, about a third said not important at all, and then
I don't see the word
13%.
not. That's
Yeah,
what I'm-
that-
And so I'm saying that information is skewed.
So, yeah, that is a typo. I just copy and pasted that from the.
Oh, you did, but
website.
was
Yeah,
it, did it have the word
it
not?
did, yeah.
Okay, so I looked at that earlier and I was thinking, that
Yeah.
really skewed about 30, a
That
third of the
would
population.
have-
there.
Yeah, in the actual survey.
It was the word
correct. It just, when the summary went up on the website.
Perfect. Fine. Yeah,
Do you know if is it still like that? Is it typo?
Yeah,
I can look at it.
and then 13% don't have an opinion about the house. So, I think it's helpful just for the commission to be aware of the
Mhm.
general opinion towards the Frank Alice House. In context, this is in context of the the overall San Damiano property.
I just want people to know that at the San Damiano Steering Committee, the consultant said it was a half and half, that was split. People who were in favor of preserving
That's
the
what he
house.
just said.
But, yeah, I don't think that that's the case in terms of reading the material. That if so many 20% don't answer the question, that should mean that they're against saving the property.
53% said it's very or somewhat.
Okay, but it's not a 50-50 split.
Say it's not important.
I see what you mean.
I think it's relatively fair to
Yeah.
say the people who didn't bother to answer the question said, don't think it's important, but, so,
They don't care one way or another.
right,
But yeah, and that's what's good.
right.
that's what happens when you get wishy-washy questions. You get wishy-washy answers.
The fact that somebody has to know what the Frank Alice House is
Correct.
in order to understand that question, I was like,
That's what I'm saying.
nobody knows what that means, I thought. But there could have been some context or history in the beginning of the survey that might have explained some terms that I thought. But I knew what it meant, so.
But if it was a majority rule, we would be preserving the home based on that vote.
53%.
53%
is
said
important.
Yeah.
Which is greater than the supporting changes.
Right, I mean.
Which is
I would be
important for us
hesitant-
because they have to come to us.
Yeah.
No matter what they do.
Right, exactly.
So.
Yeah. Yes, and the way the question is worded, right, it's just how important is the Frank Ellis house to your overall appreciation of the property? Doesn't necessarily, get into anything about your willingness to improve the house, changes, so
Or how do you
it
think
just,
it might be used? It's
yeah.
a very vague question.
yeah,
That's
but,
That's what
that's
surveys
what we
do.
have
You
about
can
the
go where
public
you want the
perception
answers to
right
be.
now.
It's the beauty of being able to spend big questions.
Mhm.
Well, that is it for staff updates.
Yeah. Which is sad, if you look at it, it was what, 1,600 people and we have a population of 7.
You don't know how many specific ones are.
Well, I mean, even looking at that, I'm looking at, 4,500 people didn't want to even get off a paper,
Well, our population includes children. though.
Did you have to
Oh,
be a
that's true, it
resident?
does.
Only about
Oh, no, yeah.
2/3 of the
Yeah.
respondents
No,
are even
no,
residents
So it could
of
have
the
been
city.
all Madison.
Right. No, it was interesting, like I said.
They asked where you're from,
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
so
they
they
did.
could separate
Yeah.
that out.
You don't say.
Was that in the first? part?
I did not
That was with the
finish the survey.
demographics. So I didn't fill in the demographics part.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, was mine ousted because I didn't fill in the
No, they
demographics?
could. Jeff didn't finish it either.
There were
That's too long.
many people that didn't.
Right, but I'm saying, so then that data facts is not true.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's it on the updates.
Mhm.
20, so the next item is the 2022-2023 work plan.
The intent of this agenda item was just to, it's been a while since we've reviewed it together. Approved last year, but, the work plan for this calendar year, so that we can just review if there's, just having a general discussion about the work plan priorities there.
Well, it needs some.
This
updating.
as in changing to 2023.
We should produce a new work plan for. Let's update it.
Right?
Yeah.
So some of these items are for 2023,
Right.
so,
But the
Do
ones
we-
for 2022 haven't been done.
right, all of them from 2022 were completed.
So let's update that timeline on those, I think.
So with the Spring Haven Pagoda, we have determined that there is $60,000, so that part was done. Yep. So, and was there an additional amount that was from Hamburg of 10,000? Do we know that?
I believe that was- Yes.
Okay,
In addition to the 60. you're saying?
yeah,
It was a separate item
there's a plaque there with
for her.
She
For-
served on the,
Hamburg's mom.
Sandy
Sure.
served on the landmarks
Yeah.
commission. helped
Yeah,
start it.
so there's a personal connection. Clean local alarm act, we're thinking of doing this for May 23, but that may slip.
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Well, I'm looking at the second item, local landmark markers.
Oh, gotcha.
We were saying April 23. But
I think
do we
that-
want to extend that
Yeah,
beyond?
I
I
think we
don't
should.
know if we're gonna be able to get
I
that
think we
done
should update
in
that.
2 months.
I think you were
Right.
trying to shoot for May and it didn't.
2023.
Yeah,
So the big issue though is the money. So really this, if we're talking about trying to get the whole amount from the city, this is more of 2024.
Well,
I don't-
maybe should it be changed instead of say clean local landmarks, maybe assess?
Or replace.
yeah,
Yeah.
because the replacement is an option.
Either way, we're gonna need money from the city, correct? And we need to get it into the capital budget, so it's more of a 2024 item.
Depending on the amount, if we pursue the option where, Craig cleans one marker as a demo and it's $450, that could maybe just be a budget request out of the general fund.
Oh.
And then if the rest are cleaned and maintained by volunteers, maybe that could happen a lot sooner than 2024.
How do we figure out if the general fund will give us money?
Doug, can you speak to that process?
Yeah, I would just have to talk to the finance director, who's also acting administrator and possibly the mayor, and just kind of socialize this. I don't want to make any promises, but there have been instances in the past of smaller amounts that have come up that maybe, you know, if it's a time sensitive item, and it's a small enough amount. So I think to exhaust this, to see, you know, now to know that it's the 6 instead of the full amount, maybe investigating feasibility of replacing versus cleaning, and just sort of, you know, going through some of those elements too, I think would be a discussion, but certainly something I can make mention of at the next meeting. I'm certain there's a, you know, formal process to go through, but at least to just begin discussion.
All right.
with that.
Well, maybe we could just say May 2023. If we get $450, then we can do something in May.
It could be the goal that we could have on work.
Yeah, if that doesn't work,
Say spring.
then we go to 2024.
How long's the 450 good for, do we know?
But it's good.
I would say spring, because you got the
I just
right
wanna make
after
sure.
the summer.
No, I know, Craig. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that?
I would say the other items in there you had is summer, so you might as well just say spring. The clean local landfill.
Sure. But I think we were still
Right.
hoping
From the-
preservation month. Landing page for National Register nominations.
Yep, so that's on staff. Another thing that just kind of fell off due to workload issues. But that'll be something that I will work on next month, I think, summer 2023. Or spring 2023.
Can we say May?
Yep,
Since
that
that's
would be a good,
preservation
yeah, I
month.
think, yeah, we want to have it out for preservation months.
That would be
Do
good,
outreach.
especially since we have some on there.
Mhm.
And then the pagoda. Thomas, what do you think a good time frame or something like that should be?
That could just be an ongoing.
Well, I mean, the deadline on there says possible 2023 capital budget request, so the timeline
Well,
should
and we got-
probably be.
Yeah.
Well, we already
We already
know
got
that,
that,
we
so-
know that there's 60,000 in capital budget. So do we just cross this off or do we just,
Well,
Replace it.
we haven't made a capital budget request,
we don't need to.
because it's just there and we can use it.
We don't know, we don't know, do
We do.
We know the money's
We
there,
have
because we can just
60,000
put it towards
okay.
it.
we? Yeah, I know, but if we go the carbon fiber route, it's
It may not be
200.
enough.
Right, we
Then
only
we have to
have
make
60,000.
We have 60,000 to repair.
So if we needed more, then
I
we have to
understand,
go
but it's
back.
not
Right,
saying we
yeah.
have to go
So I don't know if we want to take it off, but maybe we need to rewrite the description here.
Yeah.
back. We
So,
have 70, I heard we had 60 plus 10.
We do.
Okay.
Yeah. it was just- it would have-
so we've evaluated the feasibility of repair, but we do not understand the costs.
Right,
So,
So we have 70 towards something.
Basically.
It might be enough, why not?
Well, we have to see what the options are, more detail, I guess.
That's what it is.
I think we can leave that item in there, though, we just need to update the timeline because September 2022 is. So what do we think a reasonable timeline is to have this? To understand the costs, are we still looking at
Let's say September 20.
2023,
it's 2023.
which would give us, if we can hit that timeline, if we need it to go back for extra money. Gives us time to get to the budget, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
October.
Exactly, that was the intent of that setup.
Right.
It is.
So I think if we just do it again.
So that would be a possible 2024 capital budget request.
if we needed more.
Right,
Okay.
right.
So the deadline would be September 23.
Yep.
So the webpage on the history of international style homes. I was gonna do that. Maybe we could shoot for preservation month. Write up, I don't know, half a dozen little summaries on international style homes in Monona. Did we put those on the web? Some pictures.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Do you think we have time to get a walking tour up by this night?
no, I wouldn't shoot for that. I would try to put this online and use those materials that generate from that as a possible walking tour. But that I envision as a grant opportunity with Dane Arts
The
or something.
walking tour?
Yeah, something that you could print. And I know.
Are you
that-
thinking of a self-guided walking tour?
Yeah.
I think at some point it says fundraising opportunity. I think we were talking about an event where we could have somebody, people would sign up to take an actual walking tour with somebody in the
Oh.
neighborhoods and hear about the houses in person and pay toward historic preservation in Monona potentially. I think we'd have to work out how the money could be raised and used, but
I think that's a great idea.
I don't know that it can be done by May, although we threw, Frostwoods had one long ago. Do you remember that? Jim Drager did it.
It was before me, I think.
I think.
We
the
just
big
walked
question
about, we
is-
walked like 3 blocks in the Frostwoods neighborhood and heard about international style homes. Jim started at his house and, you know,
Right.
Well, big question is, what do you do?
I don't know,
If someone,
depends on the day you ask him, I think.
that's probably true.
It's true.
Would you be
I can
willing?
ask him
Yeah,
if he did one once before. I don't know if he,
Many years ago.
it was a long time ago. I don't know that. Well, and I think Matt Arrow is another person who might be willing to do a brief tour if he has time.
would this be a preservation month?
I think it's quick to organize it by
I
then.
think we could ask Matt, but I don't think he would be doing it. I just don't think it's the time.
I'll ask
Which
Jim.
fellow is that?
Matt Arrow.
Matt Hart?
Matt Arrow, he has
Oh,
110, penny walk, circle.
okay. I know October is really good time of the year for walking tours. It
It
is.
doesn't have to be in preservation, but yeah, it'd be
Right.
nice if we did something like that,
Do
but we
rake
could,
leaving.
I was gonna say, John has a lot of leaves in his yard. We
Can
can
you come over?
rake leaves at the same time.
If you'd like, we could try to work that in. Get a little Tom Sawyer thing going.
Fundraising.
Oh, it's so fun to rake leaves in the fall.
I think it requires, in asking Jim, finding somebody to lead the walking tour isn't really the hard part. It's
Right.
figuring out, and it's not even figuring out which houses are where to walk. It's really
The
figuring out
story.
how many people, what's the reason, what do you charge, how do you, so I think it's a bigger question than finding somebody to.
Well,
guide.
Historic Madison does many or walking tours and they charge for membership. And I think they charge non-members for their walking tours.
Oh,
So we know how much they charge for their
Keep up with
non-members.
You're talking about the Madison Trust?
And I don't wanna go
It's
too
like
much in
$5,
the,
I think.
I don't
Do
wanna
we
go
need-
too much in the weeds.
Do we need
here.
that money?
Maybe we just don't have any money.
But I mean, how much are we gonna raise?
$2.
Maybe $450
You know,
and
and
we
will
a
it deter
plaque.
people from taking the tour?
Right,
and
Donation.
pay?
How
It
about
just says,
donation?
it says fundraising opportunity on here, so
I'm just curious.
or maybe we could get people interested in history more, if we just say, come walk it.
Some cookies and a rake.
Miranda makes magnificent cookies.
I can do cookies for him, I don't know how much that good that does, so, anyway, I'm not trying to take over here, I'm just wondering what that specifically was, because it says fundraising opportunity.
Yeah, definitely is.
So its timeline can just stay ongoing and then we can come back to it.
Yeah, sure.
Normal. National Register outreach is also listed as ongoing. Which is.
Well, I think, you know, if we get that event for the Frostwoods
Right.
district,
Mhm.
yep.
Historic preservation and planning. Right, we've got that.
We're doing it.
We talked about some things. And future CLG grant opportunities.
Well, the big one would be a district nomination.
Right, if we can, we could,
If
right,
you get
and our,
this-
if we could get a district nomination, then that could be our letter of intent in August. Is that what you're thinking? So,
And I recall Tim Heglin is pretty inexpensive comparatively. It's like $10,000 to do. Wasn't as much as other people would
I don't think, maybe he might be the same, but I know that prices have increased.
I thought it was 15 pretty much starting for us.
I know that the preservation community and people that do these national registers have raised their rates.
Either way, it's grant money.
Right.
We're spending it.
It's not our money, so it's, okay. So does that finish off our work plan?
Sure.
Do we need a vote to approve the plan as amended? We want to just, should we leave it on here and bring it back and see it with all of its edits? Because I assume
Yeah,
Took notes
I
on
would
it.
say let's bring it back to the next meeting. I'll make the changes. discussed and
excellent.
make the motion.
Thank you. Updates, discussions on diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts.
No updates there or on the same efforts.
I think we discussed this earlier, just I mentioned it earlier, that I thought it. We as a commission could look at using some Ho-Chunk words for the mountains in our descriptors, but you know, if that needs to be a separate item, or if we just keep bringing it up. Anyone else?
We're on
DEI
diversity.
Updates, discussions on sustainability efforts.
No updates there either.
Anyone have anything to share? Landmarks Commission request for city staff. I think we've covered it as we went.
Got a few written
Anyone
down
here
here.
with something else though?
Yeah, I would like to give this to the city. It's the poster that,
Oh, from the mound.
yeah, Jennifer Kerr was our commissioner at the time, and she designed this. And we had that mound event where
Yes, and
we
it was out.
marked, you
Yes.
know, where dedicated the marker, unveiled the marker
Mhm.
at the library. It took a while to actually unveil. But I thought if you wanted to hang it up with the wall where we have something about the Royal Airport marker.
Yeah.
And this would be something the city could put up. It might be nice with a photograph. There was a photograph taken of you in Herald.
Yeah, when the plaque was up there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd be glad to buy the photograph. You can get one
Yeah.
from the paper for
Yeah.
like $18 or something.
I can certainly look into that. I'll speak to the facilities folks that we have here and see if we can't get that put up.
Okay,
Thank you.
cool. Sure.
Doesn't that warrant like doing that at like city council or something? Giving that to the city
We could do it that way.
to give it a little more I mean, you know what I mean?
Okay,
Importance.
Yeah, I would,
I'm serious.
I would agree.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
okay, sure.
It's nice.
I'll make a note to,
So
To start the
under
discussion.
public appearances or
yes.
something?
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't mean to schedule for you for another meeting.
But
It's
you
okay.
get more
You can do it
recognition
virtually.
and so would the mound.
Okay,
Is it virtually?
sure.
That's a great suggestion.
Trying to-
Yeah, sure. It actually, there was a drawing that was done previous to the marker, to the poster. And we had to get permission from that artist who now lives out in Colorado.
Right. Upcoming meetings, February 8th, March 8th.
I motion to adjourn.
For a second. Moved and seconded.
You want me to
Thank
hold
you
on?
all. We'll see you in
If you want,
February.
I'll
Those in
take it
favor,
back
aye.
and forth, but, so,
Wait, just as people are
Very good.
packing up.
Yes, yes. it's
All right.
been a
Reach a
while
meeting
since-
in Ronda to
Yeah,
go
let me
across the
know if
street.
it
Been a while
fits
since
on.
I've been to a real meeting.
Yeah, certainly, I'll make mention of it to the finance director. And mention to him, I would imagine that there's no reason.
So I pitched, I sent out an email to the Frostbridge board while we
Okay.
were discussing some other things because I thought I'd get on it. My suggestion was
And
February
do you
21st,
Have any?
March
news?
21st, February
For this?
22nd. We
Okay.
did two so that
Yeah.
they'd be parallel dates and people would remember, oh, we're going.
Yeah.
That's,
Okay.
Same
that it's a
dates,
pull-out,
just
isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
months.
What
Yeah,
days of the
I
week?
have one.
They are,
Okay.
So I
and
think
this
that
is
would be
just
good.
pitching to
Do we
the
have
board. It
lots
does
of
not have
those
to
books
obviously
yet?